Here's your start. Aliens.
Meat won't meat. You seen that thing when you ever see that when something?
Ouch.
What did you just say?
Aliens.
No. After that, ET what?
ET phone home.
It's ET home phone.
No.
Yes.
Really?
That's one of those. It's one of those things. Yeah. It's like Luke, I am your father. You know what the line is, right?
No.
Yeah.
I am your father. Is that really?
Yeah.
E.T.
And then the kids are like
phone home. Hold on.
Yeah, is it E.T. phone home or E.T. home phone?
In the E.T. movie,
and the kids
E.T.
reminder?
never says, quote, E.T. phone home. It is always and forever will be E.T. home phone.
Yeah, and then the kids are like, phone home. You want to call your house? Like, yeah. Mandela effect is what that's called. It's like the Berenstein Bears or the Berenstain Bears. You seen that one?
There's a lot of these. Mm-hmm. The movie with Shaquille O'Neal that plays or Sinbad that plays the genie is a big one. Shazam never existed.
I think that was Shaq.
Right, Shaq did Kazam. Or was it? And people were convinced that Sinbad had done a VHS era straight to home VHS movie. But anyway,
I don't remember that.
Aliens, dude, parallel universes, the unknown. What's your stance on aliens? You earlier today you said, have we ever talked about aliens?
Yeah, because what did we talk? Oh, we talked about if the moon is a projection. Is the moon really out there? Or is that a projection that you see when you look up?
We went outside of the office to take the trash out, and it's a beautiful day here in Virginia, and I was like, man, look at this sky, huh? Look at that. Moon up there against the blue.
Yeah. And so this is supposed to be a projection, right?
Yeah. And it's like people really think that's a projection. Some people do.
So for some of the people that are like 50 and 60 years old, please educate us. Did we ever land on the moon?
Yeah, were we there? A lot of people think that's a hoax.
They thought it was not Stanley Kubrick.
No, yeah, it was one of those.
Oh man, one of the directors from that time, they were like, yeah, he had the set of it. Wasn't it Stanley Kubrick? Because
he did 2001: Space Odyssey.
But I thought it was like at the same time Alien was developed, the moon landing happened. Yeah,
it was like,
they had the sets ready already. So
that's funny.
And they were talking about how in a vacuum you wouldn't be able to create a footprint. Because it's like
there's all these couch scientists that are like, well, actually, if you look at the frame rate and how it was framed, the backgrounds is that really? It's like, okay, we don't really know,
and we never went back to the moon, and we never went back. So it's like
we did never go back, huh?
If you went once, how come you couldn't go 2, 3, 4, 5 times, huh?
Well, I've been to a restaurant before, and then I've never been back.
Well, there's reasons for that one, but
But yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting.
So some people legit believe we did not land on the moon. Some people are sure that we did land on the moon. Some people legit believe that the Earth is flat.
Do you think we landed on the moon? You?
My short answer, yes. Does the government lie to us all the time? That's also true as well. What would be the purpose of lying about landing on the moon? Maybe if you believe the whole, the space race was more about proving that you have missiles that are intercontinental at this point.
Yeah, I think
it was never about landing on the moon.
No,
it was about I can hit any target I want.
Yeah, it was beating you.
If I can hit the moon, I can hit your house from my house. I believe that. But I believe that was a huge deal.
But we put monkey in rocket and shot it up there.
And they killed that monkey, man.
That monkey was a hero for my country.
Oh, yeah. You like doing these voices. You're going to get in trouble
voices,
one of these
man.
days.
I know, right?
You did boba tea last time.
Boba tea last time.
It's like, why am I talking like that? I'm wondering the same thing.
Dude, I like doing voices. I mean, if anybody who's ever met me ever, I do the voices. Anyway, it brings me great joy. Yeah. But yeah, I think we landed on the moon. I think we did.
Yeah, no,
I'd like to think we did.
I think we did. I don't think lying about it is a whole lot of a big benefit. I don't.
Well, and here's the thing about conspiracy theories and how it pertains to how it used to be, and talking about in history. It's like back then, I feel like you could get away with covering up more stuff because it was harder to leak stuff back then. Fast forward to 2020, I feel like nowadays it's not as plausible because there's just so much access to information, so many anonymous subreddits and 4chan and the internet and Twitter and these leaks and you can't keep a secret these days, it seems. So I feel like it would be very hard these days for a big blanket government conspiracy. But maybe back in the day when we had less information, we were less connected, it clearly was easier to do it if you wanted to, I imagine.
Yeah, I guess.
You know?
They still don't know who killed Kennedy.
Well,
Like,
if you
and
watch
this
the
is all
Netflix
back in-
show Umbrella Academy, you'll find out what really
yeah?
happened
Is
that
that
day.
what it is?
Yeah, you'll find out the real story.
When if you watch the movie JFK with this guy from Waterworld.
Oh, I love him, Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner's great.
Yeah, you'll know who also killed JFK.
But no,
One
there's
bullet.
a
It was a
lot
magic
of,
bullet. Yes, magic exists. We've known
magic-
about this from some time.
So what about aliens, man? Do you think we've been visited by aliens? Us on planet Earth? You're like, well, it depends on what alien you define alien as.
Well, but that's also true.
Yeah.
That's also true. I'll put it this way. I think from my perspective, and I got real religious beliefs and stuff like that, I don't think that the existence of aliens would ever conflict with my beliefs in God. And I say that to say that I wouldn't be surprised if there was aliens. I kind of feel like, to me, it makes more sense to believe in some form of life out there because the universe is just too big.
It's so massive.
Like, I find it hard to believe that if these things happened by accident, then how would there not be life somewhere else?
Yeah, it's a good point. I've always thought it was such an arrogant thing to say as a human race that we're alone. Like, there isn't. You know what I mean? I just feel like that's so arrogant. Like, we know nothing. We barely know enough about our little blue spherical planet that we live on. This little blue and green marble flying through
we
space.
haven't even mapped the ocean fully
figured
yet.
out
We don't know
here.
what's at the bottom of the ocean.
And to make an assumption that there is no more life out there, like, that's crazy. Like, do you know how big the freaking universe is? I don't. But
no one does.
It's huge.
It's
It
infinite, and
seems
beyond the
huge.
universe is something
From
else,
what
and
we've been
beyond that is
told.
something else. So
Yeah. So I think
I don't know that
there
it's
is something
necessarily
out
that
there.
it's like Men in Black or like Twilight
Yeah.
Zone, where there's like a super advanced race waiting to destroy us. I don't know that.
What's the Jodie Foster movie? Contact had a very
Contact.
cool, interesting way of, because we'd like to believe they're little gray people and they're humanoid figures, and because that's what we know life as. Mm-hmm. That's our experience, right? That's, you can only see it through what you've experienced. So, it's fascinating to think about.
Yeah. After Neil deGrasse Tyson at one point made a comment about talking about how we send signals out into space and stuff like that to see if life is like. Yeah, be careful, like just sending stuff out there because you don't know what's out there.
No.
You don't know if it's a threat. And then
Didn't
it's
they
like
send
then you receive a signal and it's like, oh, that's where they are.
Yeah.
Like,
They sent us a vinyl.
It was a gold. I think it was a gold-plated record or
vinyl
something like that.
That had like Elvis, and it had like a bunch of speeches recorded in audio in different languages and different kinds of music, I think.
And they came to that conclusion talking about how that would be like the most like kind of primitive or something like that. Like like
music would be the
this
way.
technology wouldn't be something like the record and stuff like that. If I remember right, it was either the record or one of those records with the holes in it.
Yeah,
like
it was something.
that.
I know what you're talking about.
Whatever you call that.
I don't know
it's
what
like
you would call
it's
it.
like a xylophone or whatever the heck inside the box and it spins on the wheel.
Yeah.
It was something like that. I remember that.
Can you imagine the aliens they're like, oh, a vinyl record. They're like, put their little headphones on and they put it on. They drop the needle and they're like, ain't nothing but a hound dog. And they're like, hey, all right, let's go kill him.
So this is what they listen to.
Like, it's so silly, dude. It's silly, but hey,
it's certainly
we're
odd,
trying.
right? It's cause for curiosity and exploration to think that this planet is perfectly placed in the distance from the sun for us not to get burnt alive,
yeah, exactly,
or for us not to freeze to death.
There's a great article I just saw on Reddit. It was on the popular tab, and I always search the popular tab on Reddit because it's just cool to see cool stories from all over the world. And a relatively large scientific conglomerate produced some findings that I think they tested like over 2,500 different planetary systems, and they had like this rubric of like what would constitute an inhabitable world for us, and it had like temperature, it had water, and a number of different things, and out of those 2,500, they found 25 that they believe could actually be more comfortable than Earth for us if they be a bit warmer. Like they made like the ideal Earth and they put it into the system and they sent out all this information and they put it through the algorithm, as they say, and they came back with like 25 very nice planets that we could inhabit. And it was funny. It was they were like the closest ones, like 150 million light years away or something like that.
Yeah,
And
you
it's
got to
just
figure
like,
out how do
wow,
you get there?
How do we get there?
You got to start freezing people.
How do we get there?
Oh, you planet hop. Elon Musk believes that we're supposed to be an interplanetary species, which, if you believe we're gonna live forever, right? The human species, right? You'd have to start looking at other planets.
We'd have to. I mean, the resources here are finite.
We agree. The scientific community does not always agree on certain things like global warming and such, but we
Right.
agree that the sun
resources.
will not be around forever.
The sun will burn out
The sun will not be around forever. Yeah, it'll be
or
it'll
explode. However it does. What do they explode?
It's
They
supposed.
explode?
It's supposed to like
Implode.
When I was in physics class, I remembered a lot more. But it's supposed to reach the end of its life and then explode and create another black hole or something like that.
Holy shit.
At some point, if I remember correctly. People that are
wild.
more recently in physics will remember, but we talked about that before.
So interplanetary is what you're saying. That's what Elon Musk says.
You would have to. I
You
think
gotta
that
leave.
makes logically that makes sense, right? If you know that there's going to be an end at some point to the resources and the sun being a resource.
Well, and that's the thing. I think the resources are going to be gone way before that star blows up. Right?
I think water
depends.
will always be around as long as we don't completely poison it.
Yeah,
Water will always be around.
We've got the sun at least until that thing
The
blows
sun
up.
will always be around until it blows up. So I think we'll figure out this whole
figure it out.
battery thing and
Yeah,
renewable
yeah.
energy.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
At one point, I think it's an economically driven thing. Tesla's doing a lot of strides to make solar power even more affordable. In their little bit of time, I mean, think about what they've done to make it affordable already.
Just in the last 10 years.
Like, give them another 10 years. I think
Yeah.
everybody will be able to afford it. It'll be right
Yeah.
there. Like, I'll just go get a Tesla then. Like, it's just
it's crazy. There's a Tesla, what's it called?
factory, warehouse, whatever that is
Shop,
over there. Office.
service station,
Yeah.
I think, over there, right by our office here. It's pretty crazy. I did the aliens thing at the beginning of the show because I used to be obsessed with the show Ancient Aliens.
That guy with the crazy hair.
Yeah, what the hell is this guy name? I can't remember, but yeah, he's
from
got the
the
wiry, yeah,
Aliens.
He's just and fascinating things, man. And some of it's a little far fetched. I feel it to be a bit far fetched, but a lot of it is very cool and seems plausible. I love the stuff where they talk about ancient civilizations had no way of, how do you describe something you've never seen? You put it, like we talked earlier, you put it through the lens, your lens, what you've experienced, and you know what I mean? So when you see, maybe you see a spaceship, the ancient Egyptians see a spaceship, they don't know what a spaceship is. All they see is the gods, the flying gods on clouds and fire, and you know what I mean? They have no way of, you know what I'm saying? So it's very interesting. It's interesting to think, how would you even begin to describe that back then?
Yeah, talking about stuff, from a long time ago. We talk about it in the Bible, 2,000 years ago. There's passages that describe people saw in visions and prophecy a wheel inside of a wheel, and they're like, that's the best way they could describe it. So then in
wheel inside
2020,
of a
we're
wheel.
like, were they seeing flying saucers? What were they seeing?
what was that?
Like when we start describing things like, and there was a dragon that spit fire and destroyed whatever, it's like maybe he
was
saw
that-
a helicopter launching missiles.
Or was that the exhaust of a crazy engine combustion or something?
Yeah, no, that was the best they could describe it as.
Yeah.
So I think when you think it back now, when you started describing ancient history and stuff like that and talking about did aliens ever visit us, one decent argument I heard people make before was that aliens did visit us because if you look at the growth of technology, it hasn't been the same speed, the rate of...
It hasn't been this.
Right, because you look at we still can't understand how the pyramids were built, supposedly,
Can't do
right?
it.
Like based on their technology that they had at that time, how did they build the pyramids? And then it seems like, from that time period, technology skyrocketed. It's like we invented math, we invented all these things.
Look at
boom,
the
boom, boom, boom.
industrial revolution of the early 1900s. It's like all of a sudden in the blink of an eye, from 1900 to 1945, look what we accomplished. It's crazy.
But I mean, even before then, though, it's like, so we're talking about, we would imagine just very low level form of thinking, right? Like it's just we assume and we're taught that these guys did not know as much as we know today, but they were doing things that we can't explain today. So it's like,
how did they do?
How does that happen? Did they reach? Did aliens come down and teach them how to do these things? They disappeared, and then that's why you see a plateau in the human race where it's like, all we can get is faster internet now.
Yeah,
like
and not even really that.
like you made the plane, and now you make the plane faster. Like new things aren't
new things
really
happening.
being
Right.
developed. We're just improving on the old things, where back then new things were being developed,
like things you've never even thought of before. And it's a good point. And you know what always blew my mind about some of those ancient alien episodes is like these geologists and physicists and all these people would look at maybe not the pyramids, but even maybe the pyramids, and they look at the beautiful, incredibly perfectly straight lines and cuts of boulders and rocks and stone and emerald, and just how perfect and precise it was. And like, that would be difficult to do today. And they were saying on some of those episodes, they were like, we can't do some of this today with our technology.
But it's even scarier than that, because they talk about how the pyramid, the size of it is like the exact circumference of the entire planet or something like that. Like, there's a mathematical equation to it. Like,
with those the coordinates too, or like something like this is the speed of light.
Yeah, no,
it's
like
like 3.014 light years or something like that.
It's like,
and
you can tell it was not on accident.
Yeah,
like, there's no way they did that on accident. Like,
and they're still discovering things about the pyramids in Giza that they have never seen before. Ancient chambers and new pathways and air holes. They're still finding stuff. They're still finding stuff.
I think it's funny that, and this is kind of parallel, but not exactly the same thing. Like, it's funny how, like, historical texts and drawings from different regions at different times talk about animals that we like, dragons and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that people saw this stuff.
They had no
like
communication.
Like, none, but they're all describing the same beast.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's like things existed before the bones don't exist today. Maybe it did exist.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason why everybody's drawing the same type of thing and saying this thing spit fire and it flew from the sky and we saw it.
Yeah.
And then in China they're talking about it, and then the Native Americans are talking about it.
Yeah.
You look at the Mayans, they're drawing stuff.
Like, it's very similar.
Yeah, it's like maybe, you know. We talk about the bones of dinosaurs. You know, we're still discovering new dinosaurs, right?
Oh yeah, and then we're going back on dinosaurs we thought we knew everything about, and going, oh no, this new discovery changes everything. Like, they look at the first Jurassic Park movie and they're like, great movie, very inaccurate. But at the time, it was very accurate. But now these days, they're like, oh yeah, T-Rex would never look like that. He would never do that. He would never act that way. He actually looked a little bit shorter. His arms weren't as stubby. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
It's like the roar and stuff like that. They go through. It's like, well, what lizards are roaring? You know, and if they descended of birds, wouldn't they just have like screeched real loud or something like? And did they look like that? Maybe they all had feathers. All of them, even T-Rex, like they had some type of feathers instead of that scaly, hard stuff, like that fleshy thing.
At the end of the day, we just don't know.
And that's what makes life exciting.
It's
like,
very exciting.
Just bit my tongue. Life exciting.
A lot of people would say the opposite. They say it makes them very nervous and very that keeps them up at night. I know a lot of people. I've heard that before. You know, the fear of the unknown, right? That's like the big one. I agree. I tend to agree with
There's
you.
There's certain unknowns that would scare me.
It's very exciting.
You know, I have a strong faith belief, but I'm not gonna lie and say that there have been nights where you sit there and you wonder, like, you know, what if there is nothing else? We talked about this.
Yeah, we do.
What if you one day close your eyes and you just never come back? Like, that is kind of scary. Now,
that is a bit scary. That's a little dark.
I described that to my dad one time.
In terms of feeling and color. And
he's like, well, what would be scary about it? You wouldn't know you exist anymore. Just like, you know. But I'm just like, I don't know. It's just... The idea of being immortal gives me a warm and fuzzy, you know, and I believe in that for real. But just, you know, some days I sit here and think, and I'm just like,
what if? Yeah,
what if? There's nothing wrong thinking what if. This does not mean you all of a sudden you don't believe in something, right? So some people get...
Yeah, no. Everybody calm down.
Let's do some what ifs every now and then. It's okay to inquire.
What ifs are great. What ifs are great. I wish more people would do more what ifs. I wish people would get out of their comfort zones. But, you know, I had a period recently, like it might have been during COVID, like in the thick of it, during the summertime, where I was waking up in the middle of the night with that, I don't even want to call it a nightmare, but it was like just a void of nothing, and just getting in that mindset of there's just nothing.
You just go to black. You don't have a memory.
There's nothing.
You
like what does even nothing feel like? It doesn't feel like it'll keep you up. And so I had that dream like for like a whole week. Like I just kept having, and I was just like, I gotta get my life together. You know what I mean?
Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson talks about, because they asked him that, he's like, well, I have no knowledge of my pre-existence, and that doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me at all. So what would you know?
Your post-existence?
It's crazy.
He says he's fine with the idea of what he knows. My body will decompose. It will be eaten by the bugs, the worms and stuff like that.
Become a tree, and then
you become a tree.
The circle of life.
But
I love listening to him talk.
But what if people become trees and they remember everything, and then we're out there chopping down trees?
Dude, Victor, me and Victor were throwing the football the other day. This is so funny.
Will I become a tree one day?
Yes. He literally asked. He goes, it'd be really cool to be a tree. And I go, yeah, you wouldn't be able to move or go anywhere. And he goes, you're right. I go, yeah, that would be pretty boring. He goes, I like being a human. And then that was it. That was it. I was like, good talk, son.
Well, if you could be one animal, what would it be?
Yeah. Me? Oh, jeez. I don't know. I like being a human, man. I like being, I like the freedom. I like the...
Were we descended from monkeys?
Were we descended from monkeys? I don't know. Seems that way. I tell you, I've seen some videos where I'm like, damn, dude, that gorilla that's a human, dude. Like they're so crazy.
I don't know.
I really don't know. I don't give too much thought to that whole thing. You know me, I'm not that big of a religious guy. I'm not that big of an evolutionary guy. I'm just a guy. You know, I just believe.
Well, as far as that, I mean, I don't know if it's the ignorant argument, but I just never really took stock in it because I'm like, there's still monkeys.
There are still monkeys.
And there's no half monkeys that can speak. That there's no people that look like monkeys and are speaking and doing the things we do. I feel like there would be an in between. No, like do we? Maybe somebody could explain that evolution concept to me.
Maybe there was an in between, and we are just a different. Because isn't the what do they call that? The evolutionists. They think that there are many different kinds of monkey, and the Homo sapien is one of the kinds, and we branched off, and we don't look like them because we're completely different. I don't know. I'm talking out of my butt here. I don't really know.
And to be honest, here's another weird thing. I don't necessarily think that conflicts with my beliefs either. Mm-hmm. I think there's a way things started, and if this is the way it was used to make humanity, then that's the way it was used. Who am I to argue with the way things were done? I don't.
Yeah.
I am called to obey and serve. Everything else is just cool. Like I like to inquire and I figure things out,
and I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, so I'm kind of the same. I'm kind of the same way. Like just
I'm just happy to be here.
Respect people, love people, and everything else is cool, man. I mean, you learn about stuff and you ask questions.
Yeah,
I don't get the fear of like just questions, dude. Or when people in authority positions act like questions are disrespectful. Like, how dare you challenge me? Like, challenge. I don't remember who it was that said it, but at home we always repeated it. It's like, challenge authority, but raise your hand.
It's a good quote.
Always
and
always
that pushes
do that.
things forward, I imagine.
You have to. You got
to push it forward.
And if you're confident in what you believe,
you got to challenge everything, man.
Yeah, no. And I always, with a lot of friends, and I get conversations about, my beliefs and stuff. I always welcome that stuff because I'm like, if I'm confident in what I believe, it shouldn't be a threat to me, a question.
Of course, we've had so many late night conversations, 12, 1, 2 in the morning, out here in the parking lot. We get done, and we just talk about religion, philosophy, life. Emotion, love, family, and all these things. And you've never been that way. You just share
your
morals,
your experience, or whatever.
Man.
It shouldn't be. I never understood that whole like the arrogance of how dare you challenge me. It's like then you must not be confident in what you believe. Then whatever that is,
or you're just so close-minded that you don't even want to hear the other side.
Yeah, I don't know. You're right about that.
You know what I mean?
I don't. It's weird to me that people would think that way because you should welcome the opportunity.
We're seeing that a lot today.
To share, what you think, and listen to the way other people think, man. Because sometimes you listen to other people, you're like, it's simple, right? But we just don't open our minds to that. So I never thought of it that way, dude. I try that. Like we do that with our skills. Mm-hmm. We'll watch other people do things and we'll see the way somebody shot something, on the camera, and we're like,
wow, look at that.
That's cool.
Never thought to try that.
We don't seek to mimic, but it's nice to get inspired and see things. It's like, I never thought of doing it that way. Let's try that out. So the same thing with thought. Listen to other people. Maybe they had a different experience.
We need more of that these days. I just feel like we're just so divided, in a lot of ways, and just listen a little bit.
Well, I've been working, we
man.
talked about this too. I've been working personally to condition myself to not be so quick to judge a person when they say something that I might disagree with. For example, like the politically charged issues, like maybe kneeling at a football game and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't immediately get offended by somebody's stance, whether they're pro or against. I just listen and I'm like, well, maybe that person hasn't had the same experience. And if they did,
they haven't.
Maybe they might have felt a little differently.
They haven't.
Now, if you had the same experience and you're still discounting the credibility of it, then I would get kind of frustrated. But if a person just doesn't know about it, then I would say then seek to understand. Ask these people that are upset about X, Y, Z, and ask them, why are you upset? Does that really happen in your community? And seek to learn instead of seeking to judge and force your opinion on other people.
It's like you don't see much. I'm not talking about like a presidential debate, but I'm just talking about you just don't see much real debate anymore. Because, it's like the on The Office where he's like, this is why the debates are pointless. Because people just get more ingrained and dig deeper into their own trench.
Some debates are pointless.
You know what I'm saying?
Some debates, it's
I wish
better.
more people would, like you said, seek to understand.
Yeah. No, some are pointless in the fact that, yes, when some people have already made up their minds.
And there's no point.
Mitt Romney got in trouble for making that statement, and I wish he would have handled that better on a PR thing, because back when he was running for president,
I remember that.
He made this statement about there's some people that are going to vote for me and some people aren't. We're not going to worry about them.
That's what it is.
And then when they hot mic'd him,
we're not going to worry about them.
Yeah, when they got him on the hot mic and they asked him about it, he doubled back. It's like, no, This is why, side note, this is why I believe is a huge reason why Donald Trump won. Because he just says what he says, and he does not back down from it necessarily. It's always like, yeah, I said that. That's it. And people respected that. And in that situation with Mitt Romney, unfortunately, he couldn't stand the heat. He could have just said, yes, I said that. And you guys know what I meant. There are people that have made up their minds. Everyone knows this. But he got scared. He's like, no, I really didn't mean that. And of course, I care about everybody. It's like,
this is a universal truth.
yeah, no, you do understand that these are universal truths.
Universal truths.
This is everything.
You know, I feel like we live in a day and age now where people just can't handle the truth these days. Or like, well, I don't want to say the truth because it's all subjective, right? But some things are true and some things are false. And sometimes when you speak your mind, I feel like it's harder and harder to really speak your mind in 2020. It's getting very difficult.
Well, we'll segue.
It's getting very difficult.
We'll segue here into people cannot. They find it difficult to respect your opponents. There's no honor in war anymore, right?
Yeah.
And we talk about what you discussed. You mentioned the president gets COVID and people celebrate. And people say, I told you so. And
insane to me. I am scrolling through my social media feeds and I am seeing people that I consider friends saying some just really awful things.
That's what he gets.
That's what that. Hey, I should have thought about that when you said this. Well, I hope you half your, look at that. Clean, draining the swamp now. And I'm just like, guys, hey, are we really doing this right now?
I saw people putting the Rocky meme, like if he
Dude,
dies, he dies.
I am not a pro-Trump at all. I'm not a supporter of Trump. I disagree with a lot of who he is as an individual and human being. But my God, I am not wishing him harm or illness or even death. I mean, that's just insane, dude. He's a human being, man. I don't know. I wouldn't do it on anyone. It's not just Trump. It's anybody. How do we get to this point where we're just so... it just seems trained to be vitriol, just so the triggered all the time.
Toxicity.
Yeah, we're just so triggered these days. And it's like, my goodness, people, just relax. Stay in your lane.
Certainly, that's why I say there's no honor in war anymore.
There isn't.
We need the age of the samurai to come back.
Yeah, we need to learn about some humility and some, and maybe just working on ourselves instead of worrying about everybody else. Let's just focus on our family unit or our self, your individualism. It's like, let's just. Like Michael Jackson said, man, take a look in the mirror, man. Take a look in the mirror. If you really want to make a change, man.
Just start with the man in the mirror.
Start with the man in the mirror.
You need to start.
It's just crazy to think that people are like, that's what he gets. I'm like, are you insane?
If we've gotten to the point in America where you cannot have a disagreement about just general policy.
Yeah.
Or just any kind of disagreement at all, man. Say what you will about any person. If you don't like the politician, if you don't like the president because X, Y, Z, he's rude, he's mean, he's
don't vote for him.
He's unpresidential, whatever. To say that equates now to if he dies, I couldn't care less, or even hoping he dies. Like, gotcha. I hope he dies from COVID now. Like, and I saw a piece, I forgot who did it, if it was Fox News or MSNBC or whatever, but somebody mentioned their take on it was the president dying right now would be the worst thing that could happen, regardless who was the president. Yeah. This is not the time. You just imagine what that does to national security, presidents dying. Just
we don't know.
That gap of like your enemies, like, oh, the time's now.
Can you imagine?
That confusion
and
that
grew up in an era, and our grandparents grew up in an era where people were getting assassinated. Presidents were getting assassinated. Yeah. We've never felt that. Can you imagine? I don't care who's in the office. That would be devastating. It'd be crazy.
And I'm gonna tell you what, I haven't heard too much from Mike Pence, but I don't want to hear from him as he becomes the new president because the current one died.
Oh my god!
Like, no, these just what they say.
Anyone to die.
The devil, COVID
is terrible, dude. I don't care what side of the aisle they're on, the president. It's like, geez, people, get a grip, man. Let's be nicer. My goodness.
We could disagree
Clean it up.
without dancing on somebody's grave. And
I
told you so. Oh, yeah, here we go. Oh, yeah. So.
But anyway, Area 51, man.
Is there spaceships in Area 51?
Are there spaceships? Dude, who is the freaking guy? He was on Rogan's podcast. I know.
Jeff Goldblum.
No, not Jeff. Lazar, Bob Lazar. Do you know Bob Lazar? Do you know who this is? Bob Lazar.
Man.
Bob Lazar is a guy who worked at Area 51 for like 2 years back in the 80s or 90s, I think.
Okay.
And he's a fascinating story. If you're into the whole alien thing and Area 51 and conspiracies, you got to look up Joe Rogan's show with Bob Lazar. And Netflix, this guy just made a documentary. Maybe not just. It was like about a year or two ago. I don't know if it's still on there. But it's a Bob Lazar documentary, and it documents his experiences at Area 51 and what he was working on, what he was allowed to see, what he was allowed to say, where he had to live, what time he had to be at work. And it was unreal. It's a very interesting. Yes, to answer your question, I think there is technology somewhere out there in that desert that we did not create. Well, I do believe that.
Maybe. I always thought as an adult, I just assumed that was just the top secret place where things are developed, like such as like
there it
the
is.
Raptor would pop up or whatever.
Base,
like like
it's an Air Force base.
The Raptor jet.
Yeah, the B-2 Spirit was built out there. The SR-71, all those kind of things.
Like
but,
whatever we need to be super secret in terms of military development gets done
in the
there. I don't necessarily
underground.
Believe that there's ray guns and the Independence Day ship there. I don't know.
Watch Bob Lazar and Joe Rogan.
This
dude is a dead serious dude who's like.
Is that the noisy cricket in there?
Dude, I'm telling you, you got to watch it. It makes me want to go watch it. Go watch it. I'd love to talk about it next time. It's a lot of fun. I think he was on there for like 2 hours. It's a long show. I mean, Rogan's podcasts are long, but it's fascinating.
All right, well,
it's fascinating.
Check it out. Question of the week. Last week was what are the funny things that you? What are your weird food combinations?
Yeah, what are your weird food combinations? Here we go. This week, what is it?
Do aliens exist?
Do aliens exist? And if you have any cool links, put them in the comments section, man.
Conspiracy theory week on aliens only. We don't care about political issues. Alien conspiracy theories. Do aliens exist?
Do aliens exist? And if you found anything in your travels or research that you'd like to link, please link it. I'd love to check it out.
All right.
Until next time, guys.
Tony.
Matt.
Tsunami Podcast.
Boom. I love it.